Let's start off with politics, where preparations are in full swing for the National Convention of the People's Democratic Party, scheduled for Ibadan, Oyo State, between November 15 and 16, 2025. Adamawa State Governor and Chairman of the PDP Convention Planning Committee, Ahmadu Fintiri, confirmed that the party will hold its elective convention in Ibadan. Fintiri disclosed this during a brief interview with journalists after the committee's meeting at the Bauchi State Governor's Lodge in Asokoro. The meeting was attended by Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde, the PDP National Chairman Umar Damagum, former Senate President Bukola Saraki, the National Publicity Secretary Debo Olugunagba, and former Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs Tanimu Turaki, among others. Now, away from politics, President Bola Tinubu has reappointed retired Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa as chairman of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency for another 5-year term, extending his tenure to 2031. Marwa, first appointed in 2021 by former President Muhammadu Buhari, has been widely commended for strengthening Nigeria's fight against drug trafficking. Under his watch, the agency recorded over 73,000 arrests and seized more than 15 million kilograms of illicit drugs. A former military governor with academic training from the University of Pittsburgh and Harvard, Marwa has also been at the forefront of nationwide campaigns against drug abuse. President Tinubu urged him to sustain the momentum, describing youth protection from drug threats as a national priority. Now let's talk legislative matters. The push for greater gender representation in Nigeria's governance continues to gain traction. Today, the Oni of Ife met with federal lawmakers from the Southwest region in a one-day dialogue convened by the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies. The focus, advocating for the Special Seats of Women Bill, an initiative designed to improve women's participation in elective politics. And now our correspondent, Idong Joseph, is live from Abuja with the details. Hello, Joseph. Can you give us more update on what has transpired from this engagement? All right, Idong Joseph, we don't have your audio now, but definitely we'll circle back to find out what the meeting is about and how that is going. And let's go to education now. The House of Representatives has urged the federal government and the West African Examinations Council to suspend plans to conduct the 2026 Senior School Certificate Examination using computer-based testing. The resolution followed an urgent motion of public importance raised on the floor of the House, warning that the policy can lead to mass failure, which can also result in depression among students, especially in rural areas where many schools lack computers, computer teachers, internet access, and steady electricity. The House notes that WAEC exams are critical for university admission, and introducing computer-based testing at a time that there's no adequate preparation in place can be disastrous.
Concerned that the outcome of the WAEC result of students who are considered to be leaders of tomorrow using CBE will be devastating if allowed to commence, leading to massive failure, frustration, drug abuse, and other social vices. Right Honourable Speaker, my distinguished colleagues, the House resolve as follows: to direct the Federal Ministry of Education and the Federal Ministry of Education and the Examination Board, the WAEC, to suspend commencement of the policy with immediate effect. Urge the Federal Ministry of Education, in collaboration with the state, to include in the 2026 budget 2027, 2028, and 2029 the recruitment of computer teachers, construction of computer hall with internet facilities, and supply of standby generators, and also monitor adequate provisions in private schools before commencement of the policy in 2030.
Now, in the meantime, lawmakers have taken another major step towards modernizing the country's military legal system with the passage of a bill seeking to repeal and reenact the Armed Forces Act. Sponsor of the bill, Abdulaziz Yaradua, says the legislation aims to align Nigeria's defense structure with current constitutional and security realities, noting that the existing law, rooted in decrees of the 1960s, no longer meets modern operational and governance standards. News Central Sagir Bryan brings the details of this and more.
It's the last day of plenary for the week.
The national anthem.
The day commenced swiftly with the bill seeking to scrap the Armed Forces Law. The bill sponsor in the lead debate says that it aims to reenact a fresh constitutionally compliant and operationally responsive legal framework for Nigeria's armed forces.
The bill upholds the supremacy of the Constitution and integrates fair hearing and due process into military justice. It corrects such provision as Section 173, ensuring that administrative reports like boards of inquiry no longer serve as convictions without trial.
The bill enjoyed wide support from lawmakers who described it as long overdue.
Reports of boards of inquiry set off by military authorities should not serve as a basis for conviction, but rather it should be subjected to a trial by a court of law before such conviction shall be upheld. Because as it is, it violates the principles of nemo judice in causa sua. You cannot be a judge in your own cause. This bill also seeks to subject military authorities to the command of the commander-in-chief, that is democratically elected president, or in a nutshell, subjects military authorities to the authority of democratically elected institutions.
So in repealing and reenacting this bill, I would like the committee to look into these causes, like they just appointed the Chief of Naval Staff, Chief of Air Staff, and Chief of Army. It's cause 41. All the people in the Navy, in the Army, and in the Air Force, they are gone.
SB 791, second reading taken. The bill is referred to the Committee on Defense, Army, Air Force, and Navy to report back within 4 weeks.
The proposed Armed Forces Repeal and Reenactment Bill seeks to align military operations with Nigeria's constitution and global human rights standards, introduce stronger civilian oversight, modernize military justice, and ensures fair hearing within the system. From the National Assembly, Abuja, for News Central, Sagir Ibrahim.
Meanwhile, former Senate President Ahmed Lawan has paid a courtesy visit to President Bola Tinubu, commending him for what he described as bold and courageous reforms over the last 2 years. He praised the administration's efforts to stabilize the economy, attract investment in security, and steer the nation towards growth, while stressing the need for inclusive economic gains. Lawan noted improvements in national security and expressed confidence that ongoing investment in the armed forces would yield greater results, urging Nigerians to continue supporting security agencies.
Mr. President, in the last 2 years or so, has been taking very bold, courageous, profound steps through various reforms to reposition the economy of our country and also ramp up so much investments in the security sector to make our country safer. And I think we have so far succeeded. We also care about the implementation of the total budget of the country, not only constituency projects. And therefore, we are still on it. Some of our colleagues have had their constituency projects implemented to a certain level or some percentage. But make no mistake, we are not one-eyed, we are not narrow-minded, we are purely nationalistic and patriotic. We want the budget to be implemented fully for all parts of the country, regardless of whether they are constituency projects or the normal.
Now, the National Commission for the Almajiri and Out-of-School Children Education has challenged widely circulated claims that 18 million children are out of school in Nigeria. The Commission says that figure is politicized and doesn't reflect verified data. Instead, it reports that about 700,000 children are currently out of school, with plans underway to reintegrate them. We're now joined by our correspondent, Joshua Imurai, who's live from Abuja with more details. Joshua, I mean, those are quite significant revelations. Can you tell us more about what the Executive Secretary is saying regarding the true number of students or children out of school?
Well, good afternoon to you, Blessings. Well, the Executive Secretary of the Al-Majali Commission and out-of-school children said that 2 million school children out of school is some sort of politically motivated, saying that they have sent marshals across some parts of the country. And as we currently speak, they have recorded nothing less than 700,000 students to be out of school. And one thing he said was that most of times when they intimidate the parents of these children, the children, is that the major difficulty of getting these children to school is the inability to pay the PTA fee to an amount of as less as 500 naira, and the inability to purchase uniforms, saying that, of course, the education system and the whole arrangement is under the concurrent list of the Nigerian Constitution, and that gives the state sole prerogative to ensure that children are not out of school. And there are several letters have been written to these state governments and governors to ensure that these children who are out of school are taken back into school, and that this is excluding Al-Majali children who are not willing to engage into the nice system of education that is currently being practiced in some part of Nigeria.
So we understand that some interventions have already been executed while others are still ongoing. What additional details did the Executive Secretary share about these plans?
Well, the Executive Secretary of the Commission says that plans are underway to make sure that these children are taken back to school, and that the National Education Council has approved the Al-Majali policy. And this policy will mandate that children who are studying Islamic studies are not, and those who are not wanting to engage in the modernized system of education, they are taken back into some sort of structure to ensure that they are intimated on how well they can fuse in the modern system of education as well as the Al-Majali system of education. And they also said, the Executive Secretary of the Commission also said that some years ago, the former President Jonathan constructed some schools across the nation, and that these schools were abandoned till now being abandoned. And this is so, he said, this is solely connected to the fact that some of these Al-Majali teachers, the Malams who are in charge of the teaching of these children, were not intimidated on how well to carry along these processes, and that the Commission has done this and ensuring that most of these children will be taken back to school, and perhaps those who are not wanting to engage in the modern system of
All right, that was Joshua Imurai giving us an update on the number of out-of-school children and what the Al-Majali Commission has clarified. You're still live with us on the 12 Report. We're going on a short break, and when we come back, Benue nurses, midwives threaten strike over unpaid benefits. The details of this and more after the break. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. The Benue State chapter of the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives has issued a 15-day ultimatum to the state government over long-standing unpaid allowances and welfare concerns. Now, despite acknowledging some health sector reforms, the union says many nurses remain neglected, with entitlement spending for over 15 years. News Central's Sewese Anyo joins us now from Makurdi. Sewese, what are the key unresolved issues that is pushing these nurses towards protesting? All right, in the meantime, I will try to establish connections with Sewese Anyo. Let's look at security matters now, where Plateau State chapter of the Christian Association of Nigeria has expressed displeasure over what they term the persistent killings of Christians in Plateau State and other parts of the country. This was made known by the chairman of CAN, Donka Gomwalik in Jos, the Plateau State capital, at a press briefing to express their thoughts on what they call ongoing Christian genocide in Nigeria.
The Council expresses grave concern over the persistent killings, persecution and displacement of Christians
across various parts of the country. The State Executive Council affirms with a loud voice that there is Christian genocide taking place in Nigeria and confirms that there are data and graveyards of mass burials within Plateau State and other states in Nigeria. And there will soon be erected memorials at these sites in Plateau State. The State Executive Council calls on the federal and state governments to act decisively in protecting the lives and properties of all citizens, irrespective of religious affiliation. CAN emphasizes that justice, fairness, and accountability remain the foundation for national peace and unity. The Council urges believers to continue to uphold peace, prayer, and constructive advocacy, even in the face of trials. The Council calls on all Christian leaders, faithfuls, and stakeholders to remain steadfast, prayerful, and united in purpose as we collectively work towards a more peaceful and prosperous society.
The security experts and other development partners converged on Abuja to deliberate on ways aimed at strengthening community policy across the country. The meeting by Clean Foundation provides a platform for stakeholders to engage and develop a unified roadmap for accessing the structure, the operations, and impact of community-led security initiatives. Our correspondent, Victor Ajayi, compiled this report.
The meeting had in attendance security and counter-terrorism experts and is expected to develop a workable community policing model aimed at improving security management. One expert, Salaudeen Hashim, highlighted the importance of police oversight, saying that it will help promote accountability within the police.
There has been a lot of mantra sloganeering around community policing, yet we continue to see spikes of attacks, fatalities, violence, conflict in various communities. But for us, I think that it is because of the absence of structured approach that has allowed those things to continue to fester. So what we are doing today is to actually bring agencies, particularly those who have responsibility to police, together to look at what exactly are the existing model, what exactly can we do different, and why should we not have a shift from the force-led approach that we have.
Assistant Inspector General of Police Hussaini Gumel adds that the meeting will also provide a vital platform to raise awareness among stakeholders about their shared responsibility in addressing security challenges in the country.
We want every citizen to have this awareness that they have a critical role to check those who are bringing all this issue that is now translating to insecurity in our society.
The national chairman of the Police Community Relations Committee, Olaniyan Ibrahim, says that concerted efforts are underway to integrate local security agencies into a more coordinated national framework. He urged citizens to prioritize the timely and accurate sharing of information with appropriate authorities.
Members of community are not supposed to bear in arms, but because of the level of insecurity now, and because of we are yet to have enough of Nigerian police personnel, even military we are not having enough. So that gives rooms for vigilante to bear arms.
Participants at the meeting say that community policing can only be successful with collaboration between the police, local security agencies, and citizens.
In a country grappling with displacement and insecurity, rebuilding life after trauma can be a long and painful journey. But for some Nigerians, empowerment through vocational skills provided by Action Aid is offering a genuine path to recovery. News Central's Igbalani Omoni reports.
For returned migrants, displaced persons, and survivors of violence, this is more than a graduation. It's a new beginning.
We're all wild.
Armed with skills in catering, tailoring, hairdressing, and textile production, many now see a future built on purpose and income.
I learn fashion. I know I can sew. I know how I can cut clothes, measure people.
She has a supporting business with her job. I'm able to go to a good school where I have quality education and a brighter future.
I feel fulfilled that
despite my disability, I am not a dependent. I am not a redundant, and I'm not useless to myself and to the people around me. And I can even make an impact to myself and to my child.
Now, I'm already looking for a shop, trying to set up my own business and then to support my husband.
If properly equipped with the tools that we need to produce, we can compete favorable with any other businesses, even in the U.S.
As Nigeria continues to face economic and security challenges, community-driven empowerment like this is restoring health, dignity, and self-reliance.
People who are here and have been doing things, they already have challenges, not to talk of somebody who comes and starts from ground zero. So a lot of them, they come with different kind of issues, and by the time they come, they are stigmatized. So having something like this, now being able to take care of yourself economically, and even be able to support your families, be able to employ other people, you will take care of some of those challenges and stigma that they might have been, faced with.
We understand that these are our citizens. It's important that they are not just left to their whims and caprices, that there is a safety net.
So it's not just about offering startup kits, but it's more about complementing those support after the startup kit to ensure that they are actually successful in their businesses.
This, in a way, discourages them from listening to any trafficker that might want to come and maybe deceive them into embarking on indefinite journey again.
So at our own level, we have continually provided the awareness and guidance on how to go when you want to get involved in migration.
For these survivors, recovery begins not with sympathy, but with opportunity. In Lagos, for News Central, Igbalani Omani.
President Bola Tinubu has charged Nigeria's future defense leaders to remain resilient, innovative, and patriotic as they prepare to shape the nation's security and industrial future. Speaking at the graduation ceremony of Course 33 at the National Defense College in Abuja, President Tinubu reaffirmed his administration's commitment to inclusive governance and sustainable national development. News Central State House correspondent Bettina Nweli reports.
President Bola Tinubu has commended the National Defense College for grooming strategic leaders equipped with analytical skills to navigate Nigeria's evolving defense and security landscape. President Tinubu assured participants that the government will give due consideration to their recommendations, including the establishment of a permanent site for the institution.
I congratulate all of you, the leadership of the college, the participants, and the resourcefulness. I am always there to respond to the request of the permanent site. We'll look into that.
Earlier, participants of the course presented the Project Native 2040 Blueprint, a proposal aimed at boosting indigenous manufacturing for national security and economic growth.
We earnestly request that you consider the implementation of Project Native 2040 Blueprint for harnessing indigenous manufacturing towards enhanced national security and development in Nigeria by year 2040. And this will require, Your Excellency, that you direct the Federal Ministry of Works to execute the Industrial Resilience Drive by the third quarter of 2026.
The National Defense College Course 33 comprised 99 participants, made up 25 Nigerian Army, 16 Nigerian Navy, 12 Nigerian Air Force, and 5 Nigerian police senior officers, and also 18 senior officers from the MDS. There were also 23 international participants from Africa, Asia, and South America.
From the National Defense College in Abuja, Nigeria's path to industrial and security resilience remains a collective mission. In Abuja, for News Central, Bettina Nwili.
Experts are calling for stronger financing and deeper inclusion in Nigeria's equipment leasing sector saying it could unlock growth for small businesses long shut out of credit access. News Central's Placidia Igwekule reports.
40 million small and medium businesses in Nigeria face a 13 trillion naira credit gap. At this conference, industry players say equipment leasing can help close that gap, allowing firms to acquire tools and machinery without heavy collateral or costly loans.
It is easier for somebody to lease assets, which we have been trying to pass over to many people over the years, than outright purchase, because when you purchase, you spend all you have. But when you lease, you are given the opportunity to pay instrumentally. And so we're also calling on government to also cooperate with us. That collaboration is very, very important. Instead of government spending billions to purchase vehicles for senators and all those stuff that we know they do, they should liaise with us. So if we partner with them, it will be easier for them. They will channel that fund to something else.
The value of leases hit 5.16 trillion naira in 2024, up 23% from the previous year. Yet most deals still go to big corporations. Experts warn that MSMEs remain largely excluded.
One of the ways to expand the portfolio of leasing companies is also to see how we can make the delivery a lot more inclusive. That is generating products that are SME specific.
The most important thing is awareness, creating awareness. Why the large corporates avoid the SME and low-income earners is because they look that they are not so safe to do business with, but with good awareness, with good credit learning and teaching, people can improve. And you never imagine that even some persons that are ignored can even do better than even the big corporates, you know.
Legal reforms like the Equipment Leasing Act and the creation of the Leasing Registration Authority have improved transparency and sped up contract registration.
So all the stakeholders must come together. So the lessee, the lessor, airline, the regulators, they must come together and chart a path that will ensure that all of the various interests are protected in order to grow the leasing practice in Nigeria. We cannot unlock a $1 trillion economy if we do not entrench leasing practice in the country.
Experts want banks, insurers, and equipment makers to work together to finance and secure leasing deals, a step they say could make the market more inclusive and sustainable. With stronger partnerships and sustained reforms, stakeholders believe Nigeria's leasing industry could grow into a 4 trillion naira market, powering small business growth nationwide.
Let's go back to Benue State now, where we told you that the nurses are agitated because they have issues of unpaid salaries, and now they're asking and making demands of the money that is owed to them. We have News Central's correspondent Leah, who is on ground to give us more details of this story. Leah, what is happening with nurses and the midwives in Benue State?
Good afternoon, Blessings. Yes, here in Benue State, the Nurses and Midwives Association, Benue Council, have issued a 15-day ultimatum to the Benue State government requesting for their demands to be met. Otherwise, they would embark on an indefinite strike starting November 20th. And as it is now, we are just 6 days to November 20th. And according to what they have said, the government does not attend to their needs, then they will go on a strike. And we can already see that the resident doctors are currently on strike. So if the midwives and the nurses go on strike, then we all know what that means. So some of their demands include, they say that nurses have not been
Leah, can you confirm you can hear us, please? All right, well, we're trying to reestablish connections with Leah. Let's go to more stories. The National Council on Privatization has approved the Bureau of Public Enterprises request to finalize performance agreements with Transcorp Power Consortium on the sale of Afam Power PLC and Afam 3 Fast Power Limited. The move aims to regularize pending post-acquisition conditions and ensure the plan's full commercial viability. New Central State House correspondent Bettina Nweli reports.
Of the Council and Vice President Kashim Shettima has called for a major shift in Nigeria's privatization policy, from merely selling public assets to optimizing them for long-term national growth. According to him, this new approach is crucial to achieving the administration's trillion-dollar economy targets.
I wish to appeal to each of us to move beyond merely selling what is broken and instead focus on unlocking the value of our nation's latent assets. From underutilized land and dormant real estate to vast intellectual property and untapped resource opportunities sitting idle on government balance sheets, these assets represent an immense reservoir of national wealth. By leveraging them, we can build a national prosperity fund, finance critical infrastructure, and anchor our diversification agenda.
According to the Director General of the BPE, Ayodeji Gbeleyi, 53.9 billion naira was realized from the Afam power sale. Council members also reviewed key 2025 milestones, including the unbundling of the Transmission Company of Nigeria into two entities, the Nigerian Independent System Operator and the Transmission Service Provider.
Nigerians can feel and understand the fact that in this year, since the advent of this entity, we have seen less incidents of transmission grid disturbance, which used to be a very frequent occurrence in time past. In fact, in this year, we were told that we've recorded just barely one major incident as it were. And having said that, there's also the recent achievement that they accomplished last week, which is integration into the West African power pool, which has been on the card for a long time, which includes synchronization with 14 other West African countries.
Vice President Shettima emphasized that transparency and performance will be the new hallmarks of Nigeria's privatization agenda, sending what he called a powerful signal of stability and seriousness to investors worldwide. In Abuja, for News Central, Bettina Nweli.
Many thanks for staying with us. Now let's go to business. The National Pension Commission has released an addendum softening a part of its September 2025 capital requirement reforms for pension fund administrators and pension fund custodians, issued on November 12, 2025. The update responds to industry concerns that the initial rules were too stringent. Key adjustments include allowing the statutory reserve fund to count as part of shareholders' funds and revising how assets under management are calculated for surcharge obligations, changes expected to significantly ease capital pressure on PFAs. The addendum signals a policy shift aimed at improving regulatory compliance while maintaining sector stability and investor confidence. Britain's labour market slowdown eased slightly in October, with recruiters reporting the first rise in demand for temporary staff in more than a year, according to KPMG and the Recruitment and Employment Confederation's latest report on jobs. Now, permanent placements also declined at their slowest pace since July 2023, signaling tentative stabilization before Finance Minister Rachel Reeves' November 26 budget. A REC Chief Executive Neil Carberry says the improved outlook reflects renewed optimism among recruiters, though he warned against repeating last year's tax hikes, which contributed to rising unemployment. With joblessness now at 5%, experts stress that Budget 2025 must boost business investment to sustain recovery. Now in South Africa, more than 150 Palestinians who were held on a plane for about 12 hours by border authorities have now been allowed to disembark. Police say the passengers were kept on board because their passports did not carry the required departure stamps and none indicated plans to seek asylum on arrival. The Home Affairs Ministry later approved their entry after humanitarian group Gift of the Givers agreed to take responsibility for their accommodation. The travelers arrived on chartered Global Airways flight from Kenya, though questions remain about the circumstances of their travel and the route taking. Now, in the meantime, South Africa is celebrating one of its most treasured cultural figures as Dr. Esther Malangu, the world-renowned Ndebele artist, marks her 90th birthday. For more than 7 decades, Dr. Malangu has shared the beauty of Ndebele heritage through her bold geometric designs and vibrant colors, artworks that have adorned galleries and global brands alike. In 2018, the University of Johannesburg honored her with a doctorate, further cementing her legacy as a symbol of South African creativity and pride. Our correspondent, Bongani Siziba, is in her hometown of Mpumalanga with more on the celebrations.
Certainly a good afternoon to you. I'm live from Mpumalanga, where today South Africans, as you can see behind me, are honoring a true legend of our cultures, our heritage, Dr. Esther Malangu, as she celebrates her 90th birthday. The event is underway to salute her remarkable contribution to the art culture of South Africa and also the South African pride. Malangu dedicated not only her life to South Africa but also to Africa. But to give a brief background of her art career, it began within the walls of Ndebele Homestead at her home, but her influence reached far beyond that. She painted the BMW in 1991, collaboration with the likes of John Legend, just to showcase the beauty and the richness of Ndebele culture. And also the murals and designs have also been displayed in prestigious institutions like in Britain Museum. Just recently, the New York Street was named after her, featuring murals that are inspired by her work, and also she has shown the global impact of South African history. So today, the microscope of that color, the pride and the tribute to an icon is incredible. A journey of her legacy that is being shown here by South Africans united, looking at also her paintings, the canvas that she has showcased to the world. So today myself also, as you can see, that I'm adorned in my Ndebele attire. It's a symbol of pride in our culture, just to celebrate an icon while she's still alive. And as you can see behind me, it's not only the Ndebele people who are here, but all South Africans from all walks of life adorned in their cultural clothes. Some of them, we see the Pedi people, we saw Zulus, we saw Tswanas, everyone coming together just to celebrate that one person who put South Africa on the African map, and also showcasing the talent that she has. So today the celebrations continues here, but one thing that South Africa know, that this woman, Dr. Esther Malangu, contributed a lot, not only for her family like I've indicated, but for South Africa, but for Africa. So from me, Bongani Siziba, from here in Mpumalanga, back to you in the studio.
You're still live with us in the news. We go on a short break now, and when we come back, I've got more stories. Do stay with us. Now, the Lagos State government is set to commence an 8-month rehabilitation of the busy Lekki-Ajah corridor starting on Saturday, November 15, aimed at reducing congestion and improving road quality. The Commissioner for Transportation, Oluwaseun Osiemi, says the project will be executed in 2 phases to minimize disruption. Phase 1 covers the first toll gate to the second toll gate, with 1 lane remaining open at all times. Phase 2 extends from the second toll gate to the Ajah underbridge, with controlled diversions for motorists. Thanks for staying with us. Now, joining us from the Lekki First Toll Plaza is News Central's correspondent, Israel Iferobo, with the latest update. Now, Israel, what details has the government shared about the planned rehabilitation work? All right, once again, we'll try to reestablish connection with Israel when we can about the planned road reconstruction. Many people have speculated that this might disrupt the festivities, but the government is saying that they're trying to do their best to minimize disruptions. Now, the United Nations Security Council has approved a one-year extension of its peacekeeping mission in the Central African Republic, despite opposition from the United States. Officials also signaled a potential troop reduction following the 2026 electoral process. The resolution, adopted with 14 votes in favor and 1 abstention by the U.S., extends the UN mission, MINUSCA, until November 15, 2026. The Council sanctioned a slight reduction in troop numbers with the possibility of further drawdowns after the 2025-2026 elections. Now, more than 2 million voters are expected to participate in the December 28 quadruple elections, although opposition groups have announced plans to boycott the polls.
The result of the voting is as follows: 14 votes in favor, 0 votes against, 1 abstention.
Il s'agit pour ce Conseil de répondre à la demande de la République centrafricaine, de continuer à l'accompagner dans la période cruciale qui s'ouvre et de consolider ainsi les progrès réalisés au cours des dernières années. L'enjeu est bien d'assurer le retour durable de la paix et de la sécurité dans le pays. C'est la condition pour permettre par la suite un transfert progressif, ordonné et réussi des responsabilités du maintien de la paix aux autorités nationales et pour faire de la MINUSCA un succès du maintien de la paix.
We do not believe that a one-year extension of the mandate or the reduction in the troop ceiling accurately reflects a number of priorities of this council and the situation on the ground, and for that reason, the Central African Republic, we agree, is at a pivotal time. With upcoming elections, the country stands at an important milestone on the path to peace, stability, and prosperity. Given this, the United States proposed extending MINUSCA's current mandate for 6 months.
Centrafricaine n'a jamais envisagé la présence de la MINUSCA comme une solution permanente. C'est pourquoi le gouvernement poursuit une vision claire: préparer les conditions d'un retrait responsable, ordonné et fondé sur les réalités du terrain. Cette transition exige
Let's talk about something that matters more than most of us realize: the fact that the internet never forgets. Now, recently, the co-founder of the rapidly growing payments company Paystack has had a storm hit just because of old tweets that had resurfaced. What was once buried or ignored now popped up and is costing him his reputation, trust, and opportunities. These tweets and posts hinted at pedophilia, bestiality, and the likes. A co-founder? Now, it has been proven over and over again that what you post online today might come back years later when you least expect it. Whether you were joking or unaware at the time, the web archives it all. Remember Ramon Hushpuppi Abbas, who flaunted extreme luxury on Instagram, and those very posts became part of his undoing when he was arrested and convicted for cybercrime? This is one more of many other examples. So, what is the lesson here for all of us, especially those building personal brands, careers, or public personas? Your digital presence is your CV. You must assume every post is personal and permanent, because it is. Every tweet, every Instagram caption, every TikTok comment can be found again and be linked back to you. The internet is always listening, feeling, and ready to deliver your past to the world. Now, when you forget this, you hand control of your narrative to someone else. In the case of the co-founder, this serves as a postponement of status, the possibility of brand damage, and the danger of being defined by one's online history instead of one's present achievements. It does not matter how many deals you broker, how many platforms you dominate. If your past posts undermine your present, then that's all. And that's your postscript.